Okay, everyone, this is Blackfoot Raven, and you're probably wondering, Blackfoot Raven, what the crap? I am not currently in my own house right now. I am in my sister's house, or apartment-ish kind of thing. This deck profile was requested by a good friend of mine. You know who you are. This is going to be a deck profile, a buddy fight deck profile that I've proxied currently. This is going to be a Jackknife Dragon deck profile. Now, I play my Jackknife deck in my own special way, like how I try to do with a lot of my decks. And this deck tends to have a lot more free range of how you can play it with all the different forms of Jackknife. So obviously, you have the Dragon World flag. And then, Jackknife Dragon. I'm using one of the promo arts. Now, this deck is proxied. If you have a problem with proxy deck, GTFO. So, let's start with the monsters. Startup is obvious. The other 4 copies of Jackknife Dragon, what Jackknife Dragon does, is you have to pay 1 gauge to call him, and you can also pay a gauge and search your deck for any copy of a card that has Jackknife in its name. I think it's any monster with Jackknife in its name in particular. But the reason Jackknife is really good, he is... Oh, you probably can't see that. He's 5k attack, 3 crit, 6000 defense. Really, really good. Next is probably one of the more powerful cards in the deck. 4 copies of Jackknife Burn Energy. You layer this on top of a Jackknife, and then you gauge 2. No call cost, just gauge 2. Really, really good. That's what you play 4. So then you could just go Burn Energy, Burn Energy, Burn Energy, turn 6. Then 2 Jackknife Thunderstorm. You pay 2 life, kill a dude. This is really useful because some of your main win condition does require you to be at 5 or less life. So you can just pay, after, say, someone's first attack, 4 life, kill both the creatures, and then you have instant fodder for Gold Ritter. Then we have 2 Jackknife Bastard. You layer this on top of a Jackknife by paying the call cost of 2 gauge, and then you get to add a shield card. You get to add a shield card from your drop zone back to your hand. This is actually really good. I find him using it a lot. I only originally played 1, but then I found he has a lot of uses, so I bumped him up to 2. Then we have 2 Jackknife Dispersal. Jackknife Dispersal is you pay 1 gauge, and if he's in the right or the left, he has Penetrate. Oh, by the way, most of the Jackknives have Soul Guard. Yeah, I think all of the Jackknives I've shown have Soul Guard. Yeah, all of them do. And then we have 2 Jackknife Aggressor. He's basically the beater Jackknife because he has 8,000 attack, 4 crit, and 5,000 defense. Basically, you pay a gauge, and you call him on top, and he's just a big beater. That's really all he is. Then we have 2 copies of Jackknife Savior. Jackknife Savior is your basic stall card at the deck. You pay a gauge, layer him on top of a Jackknife, and then he has the move ability and Soul Guard, so you move him to the center until you can stall for Gold Ritter. Now, for the only non-Jackknife monster I play in this deck is for Dragon Knight El Quixote. If El Quixote deals damage, you charge 1. Basically, helps get up your gauge. It's a pretty good card in general. Now we're going to move on into the spells. Spells are the more fun part of this deck, I see. So we're going to start with the shield cards, because you play a lot of them in this deck. 4 copies of Green Dragon Shield, gain a life if you use it. 4 copies of Blue Dragon Shield, gain a gauge, and block. Then we have 2 copies of Flying Dragon Shield, nullify any damage you would take by an attack by paying a gauge. Then for the Jackknife spells, well, the first set of the Jackknife spells is 4 Jackknife Gift. You pay a gauge, and you target a card with Jackknife in its name on your side of the field. Then you move 1 Jackknife monster in your drop zone into its soul. Then you search for a copy of Gold Ritter from your deck and add it to your hand. Then, if you have a copy of Gold Ritter on your field, you gain 3 life and draw a card. Then we have... Normally, I don't see many decks playing a lot of this card, Since I don't play many monsters outside of Jackknife, besides the 4 El Quixote, I feel like this card is more necessary to play higher up, so I can get the first Jackknife to start my engine going. And that is 3 Jackknife Braveheart. Pay 2 gauge, search for a monster with Jackknife in its name. Then, because sometimes you draw very, very ass hands with this deck, this has happened before, 3 copies of Dragonic Grimoire. If you have 5 or less life, you dump your hand and draw 3. Then I play 2 Dragonic Medic. If I have 4 or less life, 4 or less life, I gain 3. I find it to be useful. Now we're going to move on into the item cards, which is 3 copies of this busted ass card, which is Jackknife Gold Ritter. I picked the SP art because the SP art looks freaking amazing. What Jackknife Gold Ritter does is you must have a Jackknife, you must be at 5 or less life, and you must sacrifice a Jackknife that has at least 3 cards in the soul. Then you pay 2 gauge, and you retire it, and then you equip this card. This card also counts as being as a monster. I know that's very complicated, but just imagine, like, you have a center monster, but it's also an item. It's really weird. Now, the thing is, this card, if it's attacked by a link attack, I only take 2 damage. And it can't be destroyed or returned to the hand. So basically, once this dude is on the board, he's on the board until I'm dead. Or until you're dead. That's your main win condition. And if you just need that little extra push later in the game, I play 3 copies of Dragonic Punisher. Because once you get Gold Ritter on the field, you do tend to gain life. And since he counts as an Armageddon Dragon when it's on the field, and it's size 2 or higher, you can still use Dragonic Punisher. Dragonic Punisher states if your opponent does not have a monster in the center and they are at 4 or less life, you pay 4 gauge and deal them 4 damage. And you have to pay 2 life, but with this deck you can gain life so quickly, it's ridiculous because of Green Dragon Shield, Green Dragon Shield, Green Dragon Shield, or Dragonic Medic. Or Jackknife Gift. So everyone, that has been my Jackknife Dragon Gold Ritter build, requested by a good friend of mine by the name of Sebastian. I hope to see you all in the next video.